This nation has never lived, cannot live and will not live without independence, either independence or death. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk 1919. Before every election, different groups share nonsensical caps and false content about Atatürk. It is obvious that most of them are unsourced and fabricated. Some called Atatürk a Mason, some a Zionist, some a Sabbateist. Some even claimed that he was a descendant of Muhammad. Would you laugh or cry? Another group with a similar mindset claims that Sadi Kurdi comes from the same lineage. In fact, they turned two sworn enemies into brothers. No way. Sadi Kurdi was a royalist, a Trojan horse serving the owners of the system, the Illuminati. See Emirdag Lahikasi 2. Pages 271 to 272, 423 to 424, Hutbi Isami. Speaking of Sadi Kurdi, his disciples do not like to be called that. His name was Sadi Nursi, and calling him Sadi Kurdi was considered disrespectful. However, when we ask the same group of people, Bediazaman means the creator of time, and doesn't this constitute polytheism, they immediately bombard us with threats. Unfortunately, the example of blind obedience is also present among the Kurds. Anyway, let's not get off topic. The religious and political conflicts of this colonialist Nurku-Isik group with the Turks date back to very old times. We did not accept the religion of the Jewish Arabs with flowers, they forced us to accept it with swords, cannons and rifles. You should definitely watch the video I published about this. Islam is a religion of violence. They put us to sleep well with the tale that the Persian pederasty, the continuation of Lot, was a Turkish state and the Ottoman Empire was a Turkish state. If the Ottomans were Turkish, why did Atatürk change the name of this new nation to Turkish nation and the name of the country to Turkiye? Think about it. All the religious rituals that you try to implement in the name of Islam, call to prayer, ablution, prayer, fasting, pilgrimage, sacrifice, circumcision, etc., were all part of the Jewish beliefs. I explained them in detail and gave their sources. The robe-wearing pervert who serves the Jews and their system also called Turks, infidels, in one of his speeches. Do you think the mentality that makes Turks call infidels can be friends with Turks? Try to understand why Atatürk executed this and other British agents like him. The end of the traitors, the corruptors and the seditious is the same even in religion. See Al-Baqarah 191. Have you still not understood why this bigoted group who fawned over the King and Queen of England do not like Atatürk? These are the Trojan horses of the British, who want to continue to exploit Iran and Turkey today, just as they exploited Persia and the Ottomans in the past. Know your friends and foes well. Kingdom, sultanate, one-man rule do not bring freedom. The Persian Ottomans have maintained their sovereignty throughout history with the sword. They have cut off the heads of those who rebelled against the system. They have used the masses as slaves. The efforts of the nations that have been under the control of the evil triads since time immemorial to destroy the Turkish nation as a whole were interrupted during the time of Atatürk. Atatürk's aim was to create a wave of freedom throughout the world and to rebel against the evil Trinity's system of exploitation. He gained the support of communist and socialist states for this movement and started a worldwide uprising, and became an unwanted, unloved person in the religious and political spheres fed by this evil trinity. Nothing is a coincidence. The history we are told is not true either. Atatürk was not a religious person, I detailed this in another video. The cursed trinity of evil and its system of capital, religion and politics were instilling fear, not freedom, in humanity. When there is fear and oppression, colonization becomes inevitable and, according to them, the Turkish nation could only be brought under control in this way. Immediately after his death, these colonial tyrants began to use the weapons of religion and politics to reincorporate the partially free Turks into their colonial empires, and they succeeded. Those who call him a servant of the British and American should examine the actions of the Jewish British-American agents who settled in the country after his death. I don't know, they should examine Sadi Kurdi, Inanu, Jalal Bayar, Menderes, Fethullah Gulen, Turgut Özal, Süleyman Demirel, Abdullah Gül, etc. They kept the people poor all the time, but they and their bosses lived in pleasure and luxury. Because the system requires it, because slaves are never paid enough to be free. They are paid enough to survive so they can keep working. Charles Bukowski. Yes friends, I am not a historian, but you don't need to be a historian to see the big picture. Some of my ideas may seem contradictory to you. I can only speculate so much about a history that I did not witness live. I do not claim that anything is real that I have not witnessed to be true. Nor can anyone else. I would like to ask the following question to those who claim that Ataturk was a Mason. If Ataturk had been a Mason, would he have closed down the Masonic lodges? Also, those who claim that Anıtkabir resembles a Masonic temple should research in history books whether Ataturk made such a request. Because there is a lot of misinformation. Also, even if he is a Mason, this does not mean that it is a bad thing. Mason means a Mason, Freemason means Freemason. Despite their bad reputation, Masons describe themselves as follows. Masonry is a cultural and intellectual superstructure institution that has emerged since the formation of rationalism, science and humanity, and has contributed to the development and accumulation of knowledge of humanity. Source Wiki. In other words, as can be seen, Freemasonry is a structure that values humans and human values, and Ataturk's emphasis on populism and complete independence can be attributed to this. In short, what I understand from Masons is that they fight for freedom. Because even on their emblem it says, Free and Accepted Masons Lodge. Of course this is my opinion, I could be wrong. However, the purpose and functioning of today's Masonry must have changed, and even they have begun to serve capitalism. In reality, Jews do not use their own race as slaves. They exploit and enslave other nations. Ignorant, perverted and bigoted Arabs make this task easier for them. Understand this now. There is no nation that Jews and Arabs have not intervened in and destroyed. Islam is the Trojan horse that the Jewish elite has unleashed on liberal societies. The end result of Arabized nations' countries has been destruction without exception. I am talking about a big global system here. The system works by divide, break up and destroy. Anyone who rebels against this system will be crushed. This is the tradition that has been going on for centuries. Friends, we are all at a crossroads. The masses who see themselves as Muslims should not think that they have any privilege. The architect of the God you worship is Allah as the colonial oppressors. As Friedrich Nietzsche said, the rich have left the poor nothing but God. The system uses the superior weapons that have been in their possession since time immemorial, but that they use behind the scenes, on societies that they cannot enslave, and places the blame on an imaginary God. What is important for them is only the stable operation and progress of the system. When the system has filled the sacks of its rich, there is no longer any need for masses of slaves. They save a small minority they have chosen before the harvest day to ensure the continuity of the system. They destroy the remaining societies. I have explained these one by one in my other videos. I wish there was a truly infinitely merciful God who would break this damn cycle. This is the system that has been in place for thousands of years. Believe it or not, anyone or anything that disrupts this will be instantly flagged. Just like Ataturk. Even though I am an ordinary citizen, I am immediately noticed and labeled in religious political groups, forums and real environments. The system has managed to dominate every inch of land, just like a spider's web. Do you remember the decree given by the king-governor who served the system in the Roman period for the libertarian Spartacus? Anyone who even mentions his name will be beheaded immediately, and we are living a similar decree now. To summarize, whether Ataturk was a Mason, a Zionist or a Sabbatean, stop worrying about his personality and remember what a great job he is doing. A great struggle for independence that will sweep the world. Rebelling against the colonial system that has been going on for thousands of years is not an easy task. Take him as your role model and follow his path. The system wants to enslave you, and we are fighting to overthrow this system of exploitation. In this context, the supporters of the system may accuse us of being Freemasons, irreligion or agents. Let it be. If the desire for complete independence requires us to be treated this way, then we will. People who are captivated by the magic of the evil trinity and dream that we will be the only power in 2023, if you do not wake up and unite, you will start dreaming of living humanely in the new world. In order to ensure the continuity of the system, the political agents sent by the evil trio have already made reservations on the islands of Malta and Suakin. It should not be forgotten that, no dictator leaves without a civil war. Lenin. If we shoot each other in this possible civil war, we will make things easier for the harvesters who own the system. Instead, we can unite and fight them, just like Ataturk and other country leaders did.